Hi folks, this video will go over standing in the need of prayer, not to the same level of detail as we've done several times, but it will break it down a little bit. To get the best use out of this, you should have already been working on this song. If you have not, it will help you learn it, but not as well as having gone through the whole process, which we've been working on over a few weeks. There are previous videos that really break it down, starting with little units of the melody, 2 measures at a time, talking about the details. I'm not going to be breaking it down like that. I'm going to go through line by line and just explaining a few things that are some of the areas to watch out for. I've already said these things, so this will be a review. So here we go, the first line. Getting hands in that C position. It's okay if you play up here, if that is more comfortable. I'm going to play it down here. I'm going to play at a moderately slow speed. One, two, three. Make sure you hold that before playing the last beat. That is a place that people overlook. They usually, if they do it wrong, they usually hold it only 2 beats. It's got to be 2, 3. So watch that spot. As we go on, I'm going to pick up at the end of line 1 because that last little E where it says it's at the top, that's part of the phrase that's line 2. First half of the line is just like our beginning. Starting in measure 3, watch out for beat 3. This is a different note. And in the left hand, watch right here. That's an F chord. It's very common for people to look at the numbers 1, 2, 5 and play the G7 chord, which uses the same fingering. You have to remember a number is not a note. A number is the finger that goes on a note, and the more we learn, the more we realize that our hands can move. Any finger number can go on any note. So I'm going to play those two together, and then we'll look at the next part. As we go on, there's only a very small part that's different. It is the beginning of the next line. Everything else is the same. So we're going to focus on that part that's different. When I started doing this, I started in very, very small steps, baby steps. I started doing one group. When I say doing, I mean showing it that you should be working. Putting 2 little steps together. 2 little groups together, then going to 3. The reason to do that is it enables you to control your hands by focusing just a short time on a small amount, rather than just rambling, just going on without really knowing where you are. In piano, like many things, you have to know precisely where you are. So there's going to be 5 of those. Then it's going to go to the part that you should know. Now, once you can do that comfortably, lining them up with the left hand is going to also take a little bit of breaking down into sections. I like starting, getting that, it's called the downbeat. It's the first beat in that full measure. That needs to be together. And so until you can do that and be comfortable, you shouldn't go on. When you got it, you can go on a little more. Then you want to repeat those sections till they become easy. Now, once you can do that little part that I did, you're going to kind of overlap into the middle of the measure. Then you should be good. Make sure your left hand comes up for that rest. So when I add that third beat, that way I start overlapping till I can get the whole measure. So this is the pickup, beat 1, 2, left hands off, and 3. And when you're ready, you finish the measure. And you will see the last 2 beats in that measure are the same as the first 2 beats. Once you do that, you can work into the rest. At this point, I'm just going to play the second half of the song. Count 1, 2, 3. Now, we didn't focus on this, but at the very end of the page, it says DC al fine in that pinkish color. That means go back to the beginning. DC means da capo. That means the head. Al means up to or to. So you go back to the beginning and play those first 2 lines, and you stop at the end of line 2 where it says fine. So we didn't really focus on that, but if you were to perform it, you would want to do that. Now at this point, I am flipping back and I'm going to go over the 2 G position quizzes. We're going to start with page 54. And just like with the final, this is not me teaching everything about them. I've done that, and I've done that several times. That's on recordings. But if you got behind, this will help you catch up. You still may need to go back and watch the tips because I'm not starting at the beginning here. But you need to be in G position. Your sharps chart is at the top of the page. You're going to have an A sharp. There's A sharp. You're going to have a C sharp. You have C, C sharp. There's something else important, and at the top it's to the right. When a sharp appears before a note, it applies to that note for the rest of the measure. So when we look at that little example, the 4th beat is C sharp. Why? Because of that rule. Once we get into the next measure, now that C is not sharp. The bar line ends that sharp. It stops that rule. But we're going to have 2 A sharps. Why? Because of the rule. Hopefully you understand that. But if you're kind of feeling like you're a little confused, you might need to, when you go with piano longer, at some point you'll really get it. Maybe it's hard when you're kind of busy with lots of courses. But the thing for you to do is if you don't think you quite understand it, just watch the videos, play the notes that I play and the other videos I send to you. I'm going to do this line by line. I'm going to talk first. Lines 1 and 3 are identical. On the page, they say play the first line loud, the third line soft. We're not doing that in this class. If you're practicing on a keyboard that doesn't have volume, you can't do it. And I feel that when people are new to piano, they got to focus on the correct notes. They got to focus on the best finger and the correct rhythm. I feel that the volume has less priority. I don't ever grade on that. If you've got an acoustic piano or a digital keyboard where you can do that, that's great if you want to try it. It's just not something I focus on here. So let's go. Line 1, we're set up in the G position. Now, don't play it down here. This is middle C. This is where you should be. Don't do this. that's really low. We want to be up here. Alrighty. Line 2, there are no sharps, no black notes. Alrighty. I'm going to play the last 2 lines a little bit slower. That will give you a chance to hear line 3, which is just like line 1 slower in case you're a little bit behind. And then the last line has 1 note different. Line 4 has 1 note different than line 2. So let's go slower for line 3. And our last line. In the right hand, this is your different note. In line 2, instead of the G, it was a D. If you think you might miss that, you may want to circle the note in your book. Now, I'm not going to play it all the way through because at this point you really should have done this. Most people have completed this quiz, but if you haven't, and if you need to see it a little more, I did send links of the entire song, several choices. That would be, I'm trying to think, what did I call that folder? I think song links, 190 song links. If you can't find them, if you email me, I'll help you out. Now, we're going to do one more thing with this video. We're going to look at cuckoo. Now, what's different here? Let's see. We have G chord and D7 chord. If you're doing cuckoo, make sure you're playing the correct notes. Occasionally people do G sharp. That's not it. This is F, F sharp. Your pinky's going to go on F sharp. You have 2 at the top. Now, here is how I suggest playing that if you're a little behind and haven't worked on this. Instead of twisting your hand at an angle, let your arm be less angled and let your 2 finger come back. Don't curl your finger. I'm trying to turn my hand. Don't curl this finger to come out. There is one exception, and that's if you're, usually it's going to be a guy. I've never had a woman with this issue. But if you have really long, large fingers, if you put your finger here, but you cannot play just one note, if this one goes down, or if that happens to you, you do need to twist a little and you might need to curl out a little bit. But for 98% of the people, you won't have to do that. I find this comfortable. I find this not so comfortable. And this is just, it's not really uncomfortable, but then you're gonna be flapping like a chicken if you do that. So look at where my hand is and now look where it is. I come back about almost 2 inches. Alrighty. If you're doing cuckoo, you must repeat the first line. Let's go. Okay, so let's look at line 4. Is it the same as 1? Pretty much so. Line 2, in the middle on the page, is different. Now, if we actually think of the music versus the page, this is a 4-line song. But line 1 repeats, and often in music, when the music is exactly the same, instead of writing it out again, they use a repeat sign. They're often, well, I don't know if often is true. It is, I guess, often, but it's not maybe mostly. There's sometimes lyrics The music's the same, but the words are different. And I happen to know this song has lyrics, and there are different lyrics. The version I learned, the tune is a little bit different, but it was cuckoo, cuckoo sings in the forest. So the first time through, at the last measure, there's actually two notes, which we don't have here. Then the second line is cuckoo, cuckoo sings in the woods. So I do not know if they simplified the song for this book, or maybe more likely is it is a folk song. There could be different languages, there could be different words. Who knows? You have to do what the page says. So that's how we're wrapping up now. This is going to help you if you have not completed that last quiz and the final. You've got everything in one place. Work on these. Contact me if you need help, and good luck with all your other courses. I hope everything's gone well for you.